urgency. Do good today so that you can walk the streets and they say, this is our man.
Former NBA President Olisa Agbakoba schools Tinubu and Senate President on good governance. Guys, you need to see how Tinubu stared at him in astonishment. Hello viewers, welcome once again to Think Tank TV. In this video, we shall show you the words of wisdom from the former NBA President in person of Olisa Agbakoba as he shares his expert insights on economic policies and good governance, offering valuable advice to prominent figures like Bola Tinubu and Senate President in person of Godswill Akpabio was actually seen taking notes. Frankly, I watched this video to the end and every bit of word that fell off his lips were wise words. Yes, Olisa Agbakoba's experience as the former NBA president is renowned. His track record in advocating for legal reforms and his commitment to socio-economic development is second to none. No wonder President Tinubu moped at him like a year one student in the university. Please do well to watch this video till the end and thank me later.
President, you will have to confer the title you conferred on me years ago when we visited the state. You made me an obong, but I haven't seen the crown. I will focus on solutions. We have problems, I mean, we know it. So there's no point repeating. But rice is 60,000, petrol is up. We all know that. I think what we need to look at is, like you said, do we move forward? That I think is the issue. I, as a 70-year-old, started civil rights when I was 29. It was a long time, but I still have hope. I have hope. I would like to draw attention. I'm happy the NSA is here because I also studied counterintelligence and insurgency policy at SOAS in 1980. We need peace, security to develop. We can't win, in my opinion, the war by armed forces. So I will suggest to the National Assembly to consider the possibility of inviting the ethnic nationalities, the owners of Nigeria. You know, the past national conferences, I was one, attended them over here. We have no stake in Nigeria in the sense that I am not an ethnic nationality leader. I suspect inviting these leaders together with our traditional rulers, who I think are being ignored in the process, we might be able to resolve this Boko Haram, IPOP. By the way, my brother was kidnapped yesterday in Onitsha. Thank God he was released. He said his name was Namdi Obiora. When they searched his bag and saw my name, they said, you can go. So I'm thankful for that. But that is not what we want. For the president to make progress with the president of the Senate, peace must reign. So the first task is, how do we find peace? Will it be by the armed forces? My answer is no. It will be by executive and legislative process to find how we can draw in Ohaneze, Afenifere, Andef, Arewa, the traditional rulers that have been ignored. I personally believe they have a role in the constitutional process. If this is done, I feel we will achieve peace. So that's number one. I would like us to also consider moving away from 9 to 5 transactional legislative process to transformational uncommon process, which Mr. President here is familiar with. We need to change how we must have an objective. I will offer 10 objectives that will help. Mr. President has made 3 tough decisions. I agree with some and not all, but the removal of subsidy, entirely agree. It was a market correction. It's had an impact, so it's how we deal with the impact. Now, for us to have had a unsettled constitution for 23 years ought to end with the 10th National Assembly. 23 years is a long time to be discussing the constitution. So I would suggest that the first thing would be, how do we get a new constitution? There are 2 ways. The first is what the National Assembly is doing now, which I disagree with. I prefer the solution proffered by the late Ben Wabeze. He refers to the extraordinary powers of the National Assembly. The National Assembly has 4 types of legislative powers. Only one is in use. The National Assembly is the National Assembly sitting as the House of Assembly of the federal government, pursuant to Section 4.2 of the Constitution. But please check Section 4.1. The National Assembly is the National Assembly sitting as a sovereign parliament. Section 4.1. So the National Assembly is at once the House of Assembly of the federal government and the House of Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In fact, if you recall, when the National Assembly was grouping to find powers to invoke the doctrine of necessity, Section 4.1 was the power to use. Now, Section 2.1 gives a very vital power in the Constitution. It describes Nigeria as indissoluble. So the sovereign power of Nigeria is to be found in Section 2.1.
You can see for yourself Olisa Agbakoba stands on economic policies, how he emphasizes key points he has raised in recent times. Information also has it that he has addressed major economic challenges, proposing solutions.
Republic of Nigeria, and that is President Tinubu, no other person. Every other person is either Federation, AGF, CJN, but no other person is referred to, and there's a purpose for that. So the President of Nigeria carries with him the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Federation is not a political entity, it is merely a subdivision within the Sovereign Republic of Nigeria. So it's important that the National Assembly, in carrying out its legislative functions, will understand that it has a trinity of powers, the final one being the FCT. So when that scope is understood, Professor Wabeze says there are 2 broad ways you can deal with the Constitution. One is Section 8 and Section 9, which you are using, but has taken us 23 years in altering the Constitution. The other one is what he calls constitutional replacement, which happened in 1963, because the Constitution right now is not an act. It is a schedule attached to an act. So Professor Wabeze says if you invoke Section 4.1 and Section 4.4 of the Constitution, all you need to do is detach the schedule from the act and replace it with the new Constitution. And that is the matter resolved. Rather than every new assembly, we keep discussing the same issue, because we can't make economic and political progress if we have a discussion that is lasting 23 years. So that is the point I would like to leave. Second point will be the electoral process. President Tinubu here had a petition, P2B versus President Tinubu. When I checked all the petitions, I actually found out that the petitions would have been best addressed to INEC. P2B has no quarrel with Mr. President. If you look at what he stated in his petition, it was like a refereeing a match and allowing a goal for Chelsea, and then Chelsea petitions against, say, Arsenal. Well, it's not Arsenal's, it's the referee. So we need to adopt the Kenyan model. The Kenyan model is very simple. A petitioner presents a petition which, if it raises reasonable cause, it convokes a tribunal. The tribunal turns to their own INEC, not to the respondent. Justify the election. Were the PVCs working? Was the BVACs working? Those are not issues that would concern Mr. President. Those are issues that would be addressed to the Election Management Board. In that way, you will find that the pressure will now turn to the Election Management Board to do their work properly. Because when there's a challenge, the petitioner and the respondent don't fight each other.
You have seen it for yourself that if we frankly explore Agbakoba's perspective on good governance and how it aligns with the needs of Nigeria, you will agree that it makes a lot of sense.
And I also recommend the unbundling of INEC. It's doing far too much. INEC is the largest printer of papers in Nigeria. That's not their job. It's not their job to be printed. INEC is doing far too many things. So in the waste petition, in the waste report, we recommended removing the function of regulating political parties by the creation of a political party regulation authority. We recommended creating the Electoral Offences Commission. So I would urge the 10th Assembly, enact the recommendations, and that will be the end. That was in 2007 or 8. So many years have passed. The Electoral Act makes a mockery of democracy. So we can correct that mockery by passing all the recommendations of the waste panel. The legal and judicial governance process. By the way, I'm speaking only to a narrow issue of development. I'm talking about governance. So governance is the process by which you can elevate economic and political matters to its optimum. I feel now that we are operating suboptimally. And if governance is well applied across what I'm saying, we can get to optimum performance.
Wow, this is truly remarkable indeed, as we encourage viewers to share their thoughts on Agbakoba's insights in the comment section. Also do well to hit the subscribe button if you're new to our station. Give us a like as a means of courtesy to the producers of this content, and we shall continually be here to serve you. Thank you so much to all our viewers and returning subscribers who do not take it lightly. My name again is Moses, and this is Think Tank TV. See you on our next video. Bye for now.